The sound of crystal glasses clinking together travels through the walls like water finding cracks in stone. I fold the cotton dish towel once, twice, 3 times, each crease perfect and deliberate. My fingers, spotted with age and stained from years of cooking, move with the precision that 68 years of practice provides. They're laughing in the dining room. My daughter Beth, her husband Kevin, and my 3 grandchildren. Today is Mother's Day. The roast I woke at 5 to prepare sits center stage on my grandmother's china, the one my daughter casually calls the good plates. The potatoes I peeled until my thumb developed a callous glisten with the herb butter I churned myself. The table I polished this morning with lemon oil shines under the chandelier I dusted bulb by bulb while balanced on a stepladder when no one was looking. Before continuing, subscribe to the channel now, leave a like, and comment where you're watching from. Your support is very important. The kitchen smells of garlic and rosemary, of effort and attention. I stand in the corner by the sink, my back pressed against the cool tile of the wall. I'm wearing my burgundy cardigan, the one with the pearl buttons my late husband Henry gave me on our 30th anniversary. It's paired with pressed gray slacks and a simple white blouse, presentable but practical. My silver hair is pinned back in a low bun, a few strands escaping to frame my face. To the best dad in the world. My grandson's voice carries above the others. Thanks for making today so special for Mom. My hand freezes mid-fold. I listen for my name, for an acknowledgement of the feast I've spent 2 days preparing, for a mention of my role as a mother to their grandmother, Beth's mother. The silence that follows carries more weight than the heavy cast iron pan hanging above the stove. The dining room erupts in more laughter. I pick up another dish towel, damp from drying the roasting pan. Through the narrow kitchen doorway, I can see flashes of movement. Beth's emerald green dress catches the light as she raises her glass, Kevin's arm around her shoulder, my oldest granddaughter Sophie's phone flashing as she takes pictures. Click, 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 documenting a Mother's Day celebration while I stand in the kitchen, invisible. I remember teaching Beth to make this very roast 20 years ago, standing behind her, guiding her hands as she tied the butcher's twine. Not too tight, I'd said. It needs room to expand as it cooks. She'd nodded earnestly, her eyes focused, absorbing. Now she sits, accepting compliments for a meal she didn't prepare. The dishwasher hums quietly beside me. I could have loaded the pots and pans, but I prefer to wash them by hand. It gives me something to do, a reason to stand apart, a small territory of usefulness in my daughter's home, the home where I've lived since Henry died 3 years ago. The guest room became Grandma's room, though it still feels temporary with its bland beige walls and the small dresser that barely fits my reduced wardrobe. I run my fingers along the edge of the sink. It's spotless. I've made sure of that. No trace of the work remains visible. Perhaps that's the problem. I've spent a lifetime making my efforts invisible, seamless, leaving no evidence of struggle or sacrifice. Through the doorway, I see Kevin unwrapping a large box wrapped in silver paper. Beth's face lights up as she tears away the wrapping, a new stand mixer, cherry red and gleaming, the one she's been wanting. You shouldn't have, she squeals, but her eyes say he absolutely should have. Only the best for the mother of my children, Kevin says and plants a kiss on her forehead. I think of the handmade card I left on her pillow this morning, the hours I spent writing a letter inside, recounting memories of her childhood, expressing my pride in the woman she's become. I wonder if she's read it. I wonder if she's even opened it. The temperature in the kitchen seems to drop. I pull my cardigan tighter around my shoulders, feeling the scratch of wool against my neck. The pearl buttons press into my sternum as I cross my arms. I wonder when the kitchen became a place of exile rather than the heart of the home I once believed it to be. My arthritis flares in my right knee, a familiar ache that intensifies with the weather and, it seems, with disappointment. I shift my weight and feel the linoleum floor creak beneath my sensible shoes. No one hears it over the celebration. A paper napkin sits on the counter, one of the fancy ones with Happy Mother's Day printed in swirling silver script. I pick it up, feeling its flimsy weight, so easily torn, so quickly discarded. I begin to fold it like the dish towel once, twice, but then stop. Instead, I crumple it in my palm, feeling it compress into nothing. Mom doesn't even use it. Beth's voice filters in from the dining room. She still mixes everything by hand like it's 1950. I keep telling her to join this century. I didn't know she'd noticed how I bake. I didn't know she'd formed opinions about it. The napkin in my hand feels suddenly damp. I realize my palms are sweating. Should we ask Grandma to join us for dessert? Sophie's voice, my eldest grandchild, now 19 and preparing for college. A pause, then Beth's voice, lower but still audible.
She's fine.
You know how she is, always happiest puttering in the kitchen. The definition of who I am condensed into a dismissal. Always happiest puttering, as if my existence is a hobby, a quaint pastime rather than the foundation upon which their comfortable lives were built. I look down at my hands. The skin is thin now, the veins prominent. These hands changed countless diapers, including Beth's. They've prepared over 20,000 meals. They've sewn Halloween costumes and prom dresses, planted gardens, paid bills, stroked fevered foreheads, and wiped away tears. These hands held Beth when her first boyfriend broke her heart and later when she announced her pregnancy with Sophie. They held her again, this time in celebration. Now they stand empty in a kitchen that isn't mine. The doorbell rings. More guests arriving for dessert. Friends of Beth's other mothers being celebrated. I hear the front door open, voices exclaiming and greeting, more gifts being presented. I should prepare the coffee. Slice the cake I baked yesterday, a 3-layer chocolate masterpiece with raspberry filling that took me 4 hours. Instead, I find myself moving toward the back door. My fingers wrap around the cool brass of the doorknob. I twist it silently and step outside onto the back porch. The evening air is cool against my face, a welcome relief from the stifling kitchen. The sun is beginning its descent, casting long shadows across the manicured lawn that I still help maintain despite Beth's insistence that the gardener handles it. In my pocket, I feel the weight of my house keys, not to this house, never to this house, but to the small property I still own across town, the duplex Henry and I bought as an investment 30 years ago. The one that currently houses 2 reliable tenants whose rent checks supplement my modest pension. The one that has a vacant studio apartment in the back that needs renovation. The one that perhaps could become a home again. I uncurl my fingers, releasing the crumpled napkin. It falls to the porch floor, a small white surrender flag. Through the kitchen window, I can see the cake sitting on the counter, waiting to be served. They'll wonder where I've gone when they're ready for it. For the first time today, I smile. I stand on the back porch for several minutes, breathing in the evening air. The distant rumble of laughter reaches me, even here, muffled by walls, but persistent like a heartbeat I can't silence. I glance at my watch, a simple timepiece with a worn leather strap that Henry gave me on our first anniversary. 7:32. I've been absent for precisely 8 minutes, and no one has come looking. With deliberate steps, I move toward the small garden shed at the far corner of the yard. It's painted the same sage green as the house trim, nearly invisible against the hedge of mature boxwoods. Beth has always complained about the shed. It's an eyesore, she'd say. We should tear it down and put in a fire pit. But I've always defended it. Now I understand why. The door creaks as I pull it open, the sound like a confession in the quiet evening. Inside, beneath gardening tools and holiday decorations, sits a metal filing cabinet. It looks out of place among the terracotta pots and bags of mulch, but that's precisely why it's perfect. No one would think to look here for important documents. I pull the small key from where it hangs on a nail, disguised among garden implements. The drawer slides open with a metallic groan. Inside are folders, neatly labeled, meticulously organized, birth certificates, insurance policies, bank statements, and there in a red folder marked properties, the deed to the duplex on Maple Street. My fingers trace the embossed seal on the corner of the document. Henry and I bought this property when Beth was still in high school. It's our safety net, he'd said. Real estate is the only thing they're not making more of. I remember how we'd scraped together the down payment, cutting back on everything, working extra hours. Beth had complained about the ancient car we kept driving while her friends got new ones for their 16th birthdays. I pull out another document from the folder. The rental agreement for the current tenants, the Martinezes in Unit A and Miss Chun in Unit B, both leases renewed just last month. A transaction handled through the property management company Henry insisted we hire after his diagnosis. "You'll have enough on your plate," he'd said. How right he'd been. Then I find what I'm looking for: the floor plan for the studio apartment in the back. It was originally built as an in-law suite, but we'd always rented it out. It's been vacant for 2 months now, needing repairs after the last tenant's 5-year occupancy. The property manager has been sending updates about estimates for renovation, messages I've been reading on my phone, and then forgetting in the flurry of helping with Beth's children, maintaining her home, and preparing family meals. I fold the floor plan and tuck it into my cardigan pocket alongside my keys. The weight of them against my chest feels like permission. Grandma Sophie's voice carries across the yard. "Are you out here?" I quickly close the drawer, lock it, and hang the key back in its hiding place. By the time Sophie reaches the shed, I'm arranging a collection of small clay pots on the workbench. "There you are," she says, her young face a mixture of relief and confusion. "Mom's looking for you. It's time for cake." "Is she now?" I say, wiping my hands on my slacks, though they aren't dirty. "I thought I'd get these ready for the herb seedlings. The basil needs transplanting." Sophie's eyes flicker with something, recognition, perhaps, before she looks away. "Everyone's waiting." "We wouldn't want to keep everyone waiting," I say, stepping out of the shed and pulling the door closed behind me. I follow my granddaughter across the lawn, watching her confident stride, the way her shoulders square with youth's certainty. At 19, Sophie sees everything and nothing, as we all did at that age. Back in the kitchen, the cake sits on the counter where I left it, still uncut. Beth stands by the island, scrolling through her phone. "There you are," she says without looking up. "We've been waiting to cut the cake. No questions about where I've been, no concern about my absence, just the implied criticism that I've delayed their dessert." "I'm sorry to keep you waiting," I say, the words automatic, worn smooth from decades of use. I move to the drawer for the cake server, the silver one that was my mother's. "I already put the dessert plates out," Beth says, finally glancing up. "Kevin's parents brought an ice cream cake too. We'll have both." I open the refrigerator and remove my chocolate raspberry creation, 3 perfect layers, the ganache still glossy despite the hours it sat waiting. I'd written "Happy Mother's Day" in delicate script across. The top, the cursive elegant from years of practice teaching penmanship to 3rd graders before I retired. I place it on the counter next to the store-bought ice cream cake that Kevin's mother, younger than me by nearly 15 years and still working as a real estate agent, has brought. Its plastic decorations and machine-piped frosting make my handcrafted offerings seem quaint, old-fashioned. "Let me help you with that." Margaret, Kevin's mother, Diane, sweeps into the kitchen with her designer handbag still on her arm. She's wearing a coral linen dress that complements her highlighted blonde hair and tennis-toned arms. "Beth, honey, do you want to cut your cake from your mother-in-law first or from your mom?" Beth looks between the 2 cakes. "Let's do the ice cream one first, since it's melting," she says. I nod and step back, watching as Diane positions herself center stage, serving the cake as Beth's friends gather around, exclaiming over the thoughtful gift. I stand in my corner again, a planet in a distant orbit. "Did you make this from scratch, Margaret?" One of Beth's friends, Paula, I think, gestures toward my cake with her fork. "Yes," I say. "It's an old family recipe."
"That's so sweet," she says.
"My mother used to bake too before she went into the nursing home." The comparison lands like a slap. I'm being placed in the same category as her institutionalized mother, my baking reduced to a quaint hobby of the elderly. I smile tightly and say nothing. When it's finally time to cut my cake, Beth does the honors, slicing through my careful layers with quick, efficient strokes. The pieces are too large, the delicate balance of cake to filling disrupted by her hasty serving. "Mom always goes overboard with the desserts," she says to her friends. "We'll be eating this for a week." No one asks for the recipe. No one comments on the perfect layers or the silky ganache that took 3 attempts to get right. They eat, they compliment generically, and then they move on to opening more gifts in the living room. I stay behind to wrap the remaining cake, covering it carefully with plastic. Through the doorway, I can see Beth opening a gift bag, pulling out a spa certificate from one of her friends. "This is exactly what I need," she exclaims. "A day just for me." I think of the countless hours I've spent watching her children, so she could have time for herself. The unacknowledged days, the assumed availability, the text messages that begin with "Mom, can you?" and end with yet another request. I've never once said no. As I clean the dessert plates, I notice Sophie lingering in the kitchen doorway, watching me. Unlike her mother, she seems to see me, really see me. "Do you need help, Grandma?" she asks quietly. "No, thank you, dear. I'm nearly finished." She doesn't leave. Instead, she steps into the kitchen and leans against the counter. "I read your card," she says. "The one you gave Mom." I pause, my hands still in the warm dishwater.
Did you?
It was beautiful, all those stories about when she was little. Sophie twists a strand of hair around her finger, a nervous habit she's had since childhood. "I don't think Mom read it yet." She put it aside when the doorbell rang. I nod, resuming my washing. Of course she hadn't read it. Why would today be different from any other day? "I'd like to hear those stories sometime," Sophie says, "about when Mom was my age." I look at my granddaughter, really look at her, her eyes serious and questioning, the slight furrow between her brows that reminds me of myself at her age. "I'd like that too," I say. She smiles, then glances toward the living room where the laughter continues. "I should go back," she says, a note of apology in her voice. "Go," I tell her. "Enjoy the party." After she leaves, I dry my hands and reach into my pocket, feeling the folded floor plan of the studio apartment. I pull out my phone, an older model that Beth constantly urges me to upgrade, and scroll to the email from the property manager. The renovation estimates stare back at me. New flooring, fresh paint, updated bathroom fixtures. The total is substantial, but not impossible. The income from the 2 rented units has been accumulating in a separate account for years, earmarked for property maintenance. I type a quick reply. "Please proceed with the renovations as outlined. I'd like to add a small kitchenette, if the budget allows. Let me know when I can see the progress." My finger hovers over the send button. Through the doorway, I can see Beth surrounded by friends and family, opening another gift. She's laughing, radiant in her green dress, the center of attention on her special day. The day I've helped create, the day I've been erased from. I press send. The message disappears into the digital ether, leaving no trace except the certainty in my chest, a plan taking shape as solid as the cake I baked that no one truly appreciated. I rinse the last dessert plate and place it in the rack to dry. Then I reach for my purse hanging on the pantry door hook and extract a small notebook and pen. On a fresh page, I begin to make a list. 1. Call bank about accessing savings. 2. Visit duplex tomorrow. 3. Research senior transportation options. 4. Inventory personal belongings. The last item I underline twice. After 3 years of living in Beth's guest room, it's time to determine what is truly mine, what I will take when I leave, what I will leave behind. Outside the kitchen window, the sun has fully set, the yard now illuminated only by the porch light. In the darkness, the garden shed stands sentinel over my secrets, the metal filing cabinet holding the paper trail of my independence. I close the notebook and return it to my purse, a small smile playing at the corners of my mouth. In the living room, someone proposes a toast. Crystal glasses clink together once more, the sound bright and brittle in the evening air. No one calls for me to join them. No one notices that I've already begun to leave. Morning light filters through the beige curtains of my room, Beth's guest room. I correct myself. Not my room. Never truly. I've been awake since 5, a lifetime habit that neither retirement nor widowhood has broken. The house is quiet. Everyone else is still sleeping off yesterday's celebration. I dress quickly in comfortable slacks and a moss green sweater, my movements practiced and silent. 3 years in this house have taught me how to exist without disturbing the air. I make my bed with hospital corners, smoothing the generic floral comforter Beth purchased, without consulting me. "It'll brighten up the space," she'd said, as if my presence alone couldn't accomplish that. My reflection in the small vanity mirror shows a face I sometimes still don't recognize. The silver hair, the lines around my eyes and mouth, the slight softening beneath my chin. When did I become this woman? Inside, I still feel like the 30-year-old teacher who could command a classroom of rowdy children with just a raised eyebrow. I reach for my jewelry box, one of the few personal items I insisted on bringing when I temporarily moved in after Henry's funeral. From it, I extract a simple gold locket, oval-shaped and worn smooth from decades of handling. Inside are two tiny photographs: Henry on our wedding day, handsome in his navy suit, and Beth as a toddler, her smile missing two front teeth. The locket settles against my chest like a talisman as I quietly make my way downstairs. In the kitchen, I start the coffee maker. Its gentle gurgling is the only sound in the sleeping house. While it brews, I retrieve my purse and the notebook I wrote in last night. Item 1 on my list: call the bank about accessing savings. But before that, I need to see the duplex with my own eyes, not just through the property manager's monthly reports and occasional photographs. I need to stand in the empty studio apartment and feel if it could become home. I write a brief note on the magnetic pad attached to the refrigerator. Gone for a morning walk. Back later. No need to mention where I'm really going. No need to explain myself. They never ask anyway. The coffee finishes brewing, and I pour a cup into my travel mug, a practical, sturdy thing that Henry bought me years ago when I was still teaching. To keep you warm during playground duty, he'd said, always thinking of my comfort in small, meaningful ways. Outside, the morning air is cool but promising warmth later. I walk down the driveway to where my car sits, a 10-year-old sedan, well-maintained but showing its age, much like myself. Beth keeps suggesting I sell it. "You hardly drive anymore, Mom. It's just sitting there depreciating, as if the freedom to go where I please on my own schedule has a price tag." The engine starts smoothly, and I back out of the driveway with practiced ease. The street is quiet. Most of the neighbors are still asleep on this Monday morning. I drive slowly through the neighborhood, past manicured lawns and large homes with multiple cars in the driveways. Beth's neighborhood, where I am a guest, not a resident. 20 minutes later, I turn onto Maple Street. The change is immediate. The homes here are smaller, older, with more character and less pretension. Many of the yards feature vegetable gardens instead of ornamental landscaping. Cars parked on the street show signs of actual use, not status symbols, but transportation. I pull up in front of the duplex, a well-maintained brick building with green shutters and window boxes bright with pansies. My heart swells at the sight. The property manager has kept her word about maintaining the exterior. The walkway is swept clean, the small front lawn recently mowed. For a moment, I just sit in the car looking. Henry and I had chosen this property carefully, spending months researching neighborhoods and property values. "It's not fancy," he'd said, "but it's solid, good bones. It'll see us through." I step out of the car and walk up the path, noticing Mrs. Martinez watering the flowers in the window box of Unit A. She looks up and smiles in recognition. "Mrs. Coleman, what a nice surprise." "Good morning, Mrs. Martinez. The pansies are beautiful." "Thank you. My granddaughter helped me plant them." She sets down her watering can. "Are you here to check on the back apartment?" "Miss Winters from the management company was here last week with some contractors." I nod, feeling a strange mix of guilt and ownership. "Yes, I thought I'd see it for myself. It needs some work, but it's a sweet space, very private with that separate entrance." She gestures toward the side path that leads to the back of the property. "I have the spare key if you'd like to go in. Ms. Winters left it with me in case the workers needed access when she wasn't here." "That would be wonderful. Thank you." Mrs. Martinez disappears inside for a moment, returning with a key attached to a small green plastic tag. "Take your time. I'm just puttering around this morning." Puttering, the same word Beth used to dismiss me yesterday. But when Mrs. Martinez says it, it sounds like a choice, not a relegation. I thank her and follow the stone path around the side of the duplex. It winds past a small shared garden space where I can see tomato plants staked and beginning to flower. At the back of the property stands a separate structure, once a carriage house in the property's early days, now converted into a studio apartment with its own tiny porch. The key turns easily in the lock. I step inside and am greeted by emptiness and possibility. The space is smaller than I remembered. A main room with high ceilings and two tall windows, a tiny bathroom, and an alcove that once held a kitchenette. The floors are scratched hardwood that needs refinishing, the walls a dingy white, crying out for fresh paint. But the bones, as Henry would say, are good. I move to the center of the room and slowly turn in a circle, envisioning what could be. A small sofa there beneath the windows, a reading chair in that corner with a good lamp, a proper kitchenette with a two-burner stove and a compact refrigerator. Not much, but enough, more than enough. From my purse, I take out a measuring tape, another item on my preparedness list. That Beth has teased me about. Mom, you carry the strangest things in your purse, like you're expecting an emergency craft project. I begin to measure the space, recording the dimensions in my notebook. The main room is 12 by 4 feet. The bathroom is tiny but functional, with an old-fashioned clawfoot tub that makes me smile. The kitchenette alcove is just large enough for what I'll need. As I make notes, I feel something I haven't felt in years. Excitement, purpose, a future taking shape under my hands. I sit on the wide windowsill and look out at the small backyard. A mature oak tree provides dappled shade, and beneath it sits a weathered wooden bench. I can imagine myself there on summer evenings, reading or simply watching the world go by on my own terms. My phone buzzes in my pocket, a text from Beth. Where are you? Kids need breakfast before school. I stare at the message, feeling the familiar tug of obligation. For 3 years, I've prepared breakfast for her children while she gets ready for work. I've packed lunches, checked homework, and reminded about permission slips and gym clothes. I've been the unpaid, unacknowledged support system that allows Beth's household to function smoothly. I type back, out running errands. There's granola in the pantry and fruit in the fridge. Simple, factual, not apologetic. 3 dots appear as she types a response, then disappear, then appear again. Finally, okay, but when will you be back? Kevin left early for a meeting. I don't respond. Instead, I put the phone back in my pocket and continue my inspection of the apartment. The silence feels like freedom. In the bathroom, I notice a small built-in cabinet beside the sink. I open it, expecting emptiness, but instead find a stack of yellowed newspapers and an old shoebox. Curious, I pull out the box and remove the lid. Inside are photographs, dozens of them, apparently forgotten by the previous tenant or perhaps left behind by someone even earlier. Most are faded color snapshots from the 1980s and 90s, judging by the clothes and hairstyles, family gatherings, birthday parties, ordinary moments preserved. One photo catches my attention, an older woman in a garden, her face lined but smiling as she holds up a massive zucchini. She's wearing overalls and a wide-brimmed hat, and her expression is one of pure pride. On the back, written in shaky handwriting, Margaret's first garden, age 70. Margaret, my name. The coincidence sends a shiver through me. This woman found her garden at 70. I'm 68. On the cusp of finding what? A new beginning? A reclamation? I carefully return the photo to the box, but keep it out to show the property manager. Perhaps the previous tenants would want these memories back. Standing in the center of the empty apartment, once more, I make a decision. I open my phone and call the number for Winter's Property Management. After 2 rings, a professional voice answers. This is Margaret Coleman. I say, my voice steadier than I expected. I'm calling about the studio apartment on Maple Street. I'd like to move forward with the renovations immediately, and I'd like to add a few specifications to the plan. Of course, Mrs. Coleman. We've already received your email approval. When would you like to meet with a contractor? Today, if possible. There's a brief pause. Then I can arrange that. Would 2 p.m. work for you? Perfect, I say, feeling a surge of satisfaction. I'll meet them here. After ending the call, I take one more walk through the space, this time seeing not what is, but what will be. My space, my decision, my future. As I lock up and return the key to Mrs. Martinez, My phone buzzes again. Multiple texts from Beth, growing increasingly frantic about the morning routine I'm not there to manage. I silence the phone and put it away in my car. I place the notebook on the passenger seat, open my list with a pen, and cross off item 2, visit duplex. Beside it, I write a new entry, meet contractor 2 p.m. The photograph of Margaret in her garden at 70 stays in my mind as I drive away from Maple Street, not back to Beth's house, not yet, but to a small cafe I've always enjoyed. I'll have a proper breakfast by myself at a table by the window. I'll take my time, I'll read the newspaper, I'll plan. The car radio plays softly as I drive, an oldie station that's currently playing, I Will Survive. I find myself humming along, then singing quietly, my voice gaining strength with each familiar word. By the chorus, I'm singing out loud, my hands drumming the steering wheel in time with the music. At a red light, the driver in the next car, a young woman with bright blue hair, glances over and grins at me. I smile back, unembarrassed, still singing. She gives me a thumbs up before the light changes, and we go our separate ways. In my rearview mirror, I can see Maple Street receding, and ahead, the cafe where I'll begin my day on my own terms. The locket rests against my chest, a weight I've carried for decades. For the first time, it feels not like an anchor, but like a compass, pointing not to the past but to the future. I'm finally allowing myself to claim it. The cafe is busy with a Monday morning rush, young professionals grabbing coffee before work, mothers with small children meeting for breakfast, retired couples lingering over newspapers and pastries. I find a small table by the window and order coffee and an omelet, reveling in the simple pleasure of someone else cooking for me. While waiting for my food, I check my phone. 7 text messages from Beth, 2 missed calls. I scroll through the texts, watching her tone evolve from annoyed to worried to accusatory. 7:45 a.m. Mom, where are you? Kids need breakfast. 8:03 a.m. Hello, are you getting these? 8:17 a.m. The kids are going to be late for school. 8:32 a.m. Had to drop everything to drive them. Thanks a lot. 8:46 a.m. Are you okay? Should I be worried? 9:01 a.m. Mom, answer your phone. 9:15 a.m. This is so irresponsible. We depend on you. That last one makes me pause. We depend on you, not we appreciate you or we value you. We depend on you like a reliable appliance, a functioning tool. A convenience taken for granted until it malfunctions. I set the phone down without responding and look out the window at the passing traffic. 3 years ago, when Henry died and Beth suggested I sell my house and move in with them, it had seemed logical. You shouldn't be alone, Mom, she'd said, and we could use the help with the kids. It makes sense for everyone. What she hadn't said, but what became immediately clear, was that help with the kids meant becoming an unpaid full-time nanny, housekeeper, and cook. My teacher's pension went into Beth's household account to contribute to expenses. My furniture was sold or stored, my routines disrupted, my independence slowly eroded until I became what I am now, a background fixture, useful but unseen. My omelet arrives, steam rising from the perfectly folded eggs. I take a bite, savoring the sharp tang of cheddar and the earthiness of mushrooms. When was the last time someone served me a hot meal? I can't remember. My phone buzzes again, a voicemail notification. I hesitate, then press play, holding the phone to my ear. Mom, it's me. Beth's voice is tight, with controlled frustration. I don't know what's going on with you, but I had to reschedule an important client meeting this morning because you weren't here. The kids were late for school, and Sophie missed her calculus quiz. I'm really disappointed in you right now. Call me back immediately. I delete the message without returning the call. The guilt that would have consumed me just yesterday feels distant now, like watching storm clouds on the horizon from a safe shelter. Instead, I feel something unexpected. Anger. Clean, clarifying anger. Sophie is 19 years old, a college freshman living at home, perfectly capable of setting an alarm, making her own breakfast, and getting herself to school. The younger two, Max at 15 and Lily at 13, are hardly helpless toddlers. Yet somehow, In the ecosystem of Beth's household, all these responsibilities have fallen to me. I finish my breakfast slowly, deliberately. The waitress refills my coffee cup with a friendly smile.
No rush, honey. Take your time.
Such simple kindness, yet it brings unexpected tears to my eyes. I blink them away and reach for my notebook again. The list I started last night now has additions and check marks. I flip to a fresh page and begin a new list. What I want. 1. Privacy. 2. Quiet. 3. My own kitchen. 4. A garden. 5. To use my pension for myself. 6. To be spoken to with respect. 7. To be seen. The last item I underline 3 times, the pen pressing so hard it nearly tears the paper. I pay my bill and leave a generous tip, then check the time, just past 10:30, still hours before my meeting with the contractor. On impulse, I drive to the bank where Henry and I have held accounts for over 40 years. The bank has been renovated since I was last here, the old-fashioned teller windows replaced with sleek desks where young people in business casual attire sit with computer screens. I feel momentarily disoriented until a gray-haired man approaches me. Mrs. Coleman, is that you? I recognize him after a moment. Mr. Fitzgerald, yes, it's me. He smiles warmly. It's been a while. I was sorry to hear about Henry. He was a good man. Yes, he was, I say, the familiar ache of loss momentarily sharp again. I've been away, living with my daughter. What can I help you with today? I straighten my shoulders. I'd like to review my accounts, all of them, and I need to ensure I have exclusive access. His expression shifts subtly, becoming more professional. Of course, let's sit down in his office. I learn that my financial situation is both better and worse than I thought. The rental income from the duplex has indeed been accumulating, less management fees and maintenance costs. The joint savings account Henry and I maintained has remained untouched, but my personal checking account, the one my pension is deposited into, has been systematically drained each month with transfers to Beth's household account. I'd like to stop those automatic transfers, I say, my voice steady. Mr. Fitzgerald nods, making notes. And the direct deposit for your pension? I want to open a new account in my name only and redirect the deposits there. He looks up at me, his eyes kind but knowing. May I ask if everything is all right, Mrs. Coleman? For a moment, I consider the polite deflection the socially acceptable answer. Everything's fine, just reorganizing a bit. Instead, I tell the truth. No, Mr. Fitzgerald, everything is not all right, but it will be. By the time I leave the bank, I have a new checking account, a new savings account, and a clear understanding of my financial position. I am not wealthy, but I am secure. The rental income from the 2 occupied units in the duplex covers the property taxes and insurance, with enough left over for maintenance and a small profit. My pension is modest, but adequate for my needs. I can support myself without dependence on Beth or anyone else. The knowledge sits in my chest like a warm coal, radiating confidence. My phone has continued to buzz throughout my time at the bank. I finally check it as I sit in my car in the parking lot. 14 text messages now, 3 more voicemails, a new one from Sophie. Grandma, are you okay? Mom's really freaking out. I text back to Sophie. I'm fine, sweetheart. Just taking some time for myself today. I'll be home this evening. Then I silence the phone again and drive to a small shopping center. In a home goods store, I wander the aisles, looking at dish sets, bath towels, small appliances, all the things I'll need for the apartment. I don't buy anything yet, but I take pictures with my phone, creating a visual inventory of possibilities. In a bookstore next door, I browse the gardening section, selecting 2 books on container gardening and small space vegetables. At the checkout counter, the young cashier comments on my choices. Starting a garden? Yes, I say, surprising myself with the certainty in my voice. A new one at my new home. She smiles. That's awesome. My grandma just moved into a senior community. And she's gone totally plant crazy, says it keeps her young. I think of the photograph I found in the apartment, Margaret at 70, proudly displaying her zucchini. I believe it does. I tell the cashier by the time I reach the duplex for my 2 p.m. meeting, I feel more centered than I have in years. The contractor, a stocky woman in her 50s with a no-nonsense handshake, walks through the space with me, listening to my ideas and offering practical suggestions. The kitchenette will be the biggest expense, she says, making notes on a tablet, but we can keep costs down by using standard sizes and simple finishes. I don't need anything fancy, I tell her, just functional. She nods approvingly. Functional is my specialty. I'll have a detailed estimate to you by tomorrow. How long will the work take? I ask. 4 to 6 weeks, depending on permits and inspections. Is there a particular timeline you're working with? I think about the unread messages on my phone, about Beth's expectation that I'll be there tomorrow morning to make breakfast and pack lunches, about the gradual erasure of myself that has been happening for 3 years. As soon as possible, I say. After the contractor leaves, I sit on the back porch of the studio apartment, looking out at the oak tree and the wooden bench beneath it. The May afternoon is warm, birds calling to each other from the branches. I close my eyes and imagine myself here in this space that will be mine alone. No one walking in without knocking, no one assuming my time belongs to them. No one speaking to me as if I'm simultaneously essential and invisible. My phone buzzes again. This time it's a call from Kevin, Beth's husband. This is unexpected enough that I answer. Margaret, thank God. Beth is beside herself. Where are you? His tone, the careful patience one uses with a difficult child or a confused elder, makes my spine stiffen. I'm taking care of some personal business, Kevin. I'll be home this evening. Personal business? What does that mean? Beth says you just disappeared this morning without telling anyone. I left a note on the refrigerator. A note? Margaret, that's not. We were worried. Beth had to miss an important meeting. The implied criticism is clear. My actions have inconvenienced the important people, disrupted the functioning of the household that depends on my invisible labor. I'm sorry Beth had to manage her own children this morning, I say, surprised by the steel in my voice. I'll be home for dinner. I end the call before he can respond, then turn the phone off completely. The silence that follows feels like a luxury. Before leaving the duplex, I knock on Mrs. Martinez's door to return the key. She invites me in for tea, and I find myself accepting. Her apartment is small but cozy, filled with family photographs and colorful textiles. It reminds me of my own home before I sold it. Personal, warm, an extension of myself rather than someone else's space I'm allowed to occupy. The contractors will be starting work soon, I tell her as she pours tea into delicate cups. I hope the noise won't be too disruptive. Not at all. It's good to know the space will be lived in again. She passes me a plate of homemade cookies. Will you be renting it out once it's fixed up? I hesitate, then decide on honesty. Actually, I'll be moving in myself. Her eyebrows rise slightly, but her smile is genuine. Well, that will be lovely. We'll be neighbors. Neighbors, not landlord and tenant, not property owner and occupant, but neighbors. The word carries a weight of equality, of mutual respect. I think I'd like that very much, I say, and mean it. As I drive back to Beth's house in the early evening, my mind is clear, my purpose set. The confrontation that awaits me will be unpleasant, but necessary. 3 years of accumulated resentments on both sides will not be resolved easily, but for the first time since Henry died, I feel the solid ground of my own worth beneath my feet. I park in the driveway and sit for a moment, gathering myself. Through the front window, I can see movement inside, Beth pacing, phone to her ear, Kevin in the kitchen, the children at the dining table, presumably doing homework. A family functioning without me. Despite all evidence to the contrary this morning, I take a deep breath and get out of the car, the keys to my future held tightly in my hand. Before continuing, subscribe to the channel now, leave a like, and comment where you're watching from. Your support is very important. I barely have time to close the front door behind me before Beth appears in the hallway, her face a storm of emotions, relief quickly giving way to anger. Where have you been? Her voice is sharp enough to cut glass. I've been calling you all day. I hang my purse on the hook by the door, a deliberate, unhurried movement. I left a note. I was taking care of some personal business. Personal business? She throws her hands up. What personal business could you possibly have that's so important you disappear without telling anyone? Do you have any idea what you caused today? Kevin appears behind her, his expression carefully neutral. Margaret, he says with a nod, always the diplomat. Glad you're back safely. I move past them toward the kitchen, needing the familiar territory, the routine of dinner preparation to ground me for what's coming. Beth follows, still talking, her words a rushing river of complaint and accusation. Had to cancel my meeting with the Henderson account. They're threatening to take their business elsewhere. Max missed his dentist appointment because I had to get Lily to her violin lesson, and Sophie was late for her calculus quiz, which is 20% of her grade. I open the refrigerator, assessing its contents, chicken breasts, vegetables, the ingredients for a simple meal. I begin taking things out, placing them on the counter with quiet precision. Mom, are you even listening to me? I turn to face my daughter. At 43, Beth looks like a polished, updated version of myself at that age, the same high cheekbones and determined chin, but with highlighted hair and a confident posture that comes from a life lived in the spotlight. A lifetime of being told she matters. I wonder when I stop believing the same about myself.
I'm listening, Beth.
I hear that you had a difficult day because I wasn't here to manage your household. She blinks, taken aback by my directness. That's not you, she says. You make it sound like what? Like I'm expected to be available at all times? Like my primary value in this house is as unpaid help. Kevin clears his throat. Margaret, that's unfair. You know we value you as what, Kevin? I keep my voice level, continuing to prepare the ingredients for dinner. The knife in my hand moves steadily, slicing bell peppers into perfect strips. As Beth's mother, as your children's grandmother, or as the person who makes sure everything runs smoothly so you and Beth can focus on your careers. The silence that follows is heavy with unspoken truths. I can see Beth and Kevin exchanging glances, communicating in the shorthand of a long marriage. Finally, Beth speaks, her voice softer but still defensive. Mom, we've provided you with a home here. After Dad died, you couldn't manage that big house on your own. We thought this arrangement was working for everyone. I continued chopping vegetables, the rhythmic sound of the knife hitting the cutting board punctuating my thoughts. It works for you, it works for the children. It does not work for me. What's that supposed to mean? Beth's voice rises again. I set down the knife and turn to face them both. It means I'm moving out. The words hang in the air, simple and irrevocable. Beth stares at me as if I've started speaking in tongues. Moving out, Beth repeats. But you sold your house. You can't afford. I own a duplex on Maple Street, I say, resuming my dinner preparation. The studio apartment in the back will be renovated and ready in about 6 weeks. I'll be moving there. The rental property? That tiny place. Beth looks genuinely confused. Mom, be reasonable. You can't live there. It's barely more than a room. It will be my room, I say simply. My space, mine alone. Kevin steps forward, adopting the reasonable tone he uses in negotiations. Margaret, I understand you might be feeling underappreciated. We can talk about how to make things better here. There's no need for drastic measures. I slide the chopped vegetables into a bowl and begin seasoning the chicken. The familiar motions of cooking give me strength, a reminder that I am still capable, still useful, but on my own terms. This isn't a negotiation strategy, Kevin. It's a decision I've made. Beth's face flushes with anger. So, you're just going to abandon us after everything we've done for you? The question ignites something in me, a flash of the anger I've been suppressing for 3 years. Everything you've done for me? What exactly do you think you've done for me? Beth, we gave you a home when you had nowhere to go. I had a home I loved, filled with 40 years of memories with your father. You convinced me to sell it because it was too much for me to manage and didn't make financial sense. Then you took my pension to contribute to household expenses while I cook your meals, clean your house, and raise your children. My voice has risen despite my determination to remain calm. In the doorway, I notice Sophie standing silently, her eyes wide. How long has she been there? What has she heard? Beth notices her too. Sophie, go upstairs. This doesn't concern you. Actually, I say, it concerns everyone in this house. I'm not making this announcement at the dinner table and then disappearing. I'm giving you all 6 weeks to adjust to the idea that I won't be here to manage your lives anymore. Kevin attempts to de-escalate. Let's all take a breath, Margaret. No one is saying you haven't contributed tremendously to this household. We appreciate everything you do. Do you? I ask quietly. When was the last time anyone in this house thanked me for anything? When was the last time anyone asked what I wanted, what I needed? Beth's expression shifts from anger to hurt. That's not fair. We include you in everything. You include me as a helper, not as a person. I'm the one who makes things work, but I'm never the one whose preferences matter. Yesterday was Mother's Day. Beth, did you read the card I wrote you? She has the grace to look embarrassed. I was going to things got busy with the guests. I spent hours writing that card, remembering moments from your childhood, telling you how proud I am of the mother you've become. But you were too busy being celebrated to acknowledge the mother standing in your kitchen, making sure your special day was perfect. Sophie steps fully into the kitchen now. I read it, Grandma. It was beautiful. Beth looks between her daughter and me, confusion clouding her features. You read it? When? Yesterday. It was on your nightstand. I saw Grandma's handwriting. Sophie trails off, clearly uncomfortable being caught between us. I feel a rush of gratitude for this young woman, so different from her mother in her awareness of others. Thank you, Sophie. That means a lot to me. The timer on the oven beeps, startling us all. I turn to slide the chicken into the oven, using the moment to collect myself. Dinner will be ready in 30 minutes, I say calmly. Plenty of time for Max and Lily to finish their homework and set the table. Beth shakes her head in disbelief. You're dropping this bomb on us and then just making dinner like nothing happened? Life continues, Beth. You'll still need to eat tonight, and for the next 6 weeks, I'll still be here cooking and helping. The difference is there's now an end date. Kevin puts his hand on Beth's shoulder. Let's take a step back. We can discuss this after dinner when everyone's calmer. Beth shrugs off his hand. I am calm. I just can't believe my own mother would do this to us. She turns and walks out of the kitchen, her footsteps heavy on the stairs. Kevin gives me an apologetic look before following her. Sophie remains, hovering uncertainly by the counter. Can I help with dinner, Grandma? You can make the salad, sweetheart. We work in companionship. Enable silence for a few minutes. The only sounds are the gentle thud of the knife on the cutting board and the ticking of the oven timer. Finally, Sophie speaks. Are you really moving out? Yes. Because of yesterday? Because of Mother's Day. I pause in my preparations and look at my granddaughter, really look at her. Her young face holds a wisdom beyond her years, an awareness that sometimes I think skipped a generation. No, not because of yesterday. Yesterday was just the moment I finally saw clearly what I've been feeling for a long time. I add rice to the boiling water on the stove, measuring carefully. I've spent 3 years being useful but not valued, being needed but not seen. It's time for me to create a life where I can be both. Sophie's eyes fill with tears. I see you, Grandma. The simple statement nearly undoes me. I reach out and squeeze her hand. I know you do, sweetheart, and I'll still be in your life, just not under the same roof. Mom's really upset? Yes, she is, and she'll probably stay that way for a while. Change is hard, especially when it's not your choice. Sophie returns to slicing cucumbers for the salad. Will your new place have room for visitors? Could I come see you sometimes? I'm counting on it, I tell her. There won't be much space, but there will always be room for you. By the time dinner is ready, the house has settled into an uneasy quiet. Max and Lily have been informed of the situation in some form. I can tell by the curious glances they cast my way as they take their seats at the table. Beth and Kevin return downstairs. Beth's eyes are red-rimmed, but her composure is restored. We sit at the table, this family that is mine, yet not quite mine. The food is passed in silence at first, The only sounds the clink of serving spoons against dishes and the soft scrape of forks on plates. Finally, Max, always the one to address the elephant in the room, speaks up. So, Grandma's moving out. Does this mean we have to start making our own lunches? Lily elbows him. Shut up, dummy.
What?
It's a legitimate question. Despite everything, I find myself smiling. Yes, Max, you'll have to make your own lunches, or your mother will, or your father. You have many options, but none as good as yours, he says with a grin that reminds me of Henry. Your sandwiches never get soggy. I can teach you my tricks before I go. Beth sets down her fork with a sharp clink. This isn't funny. This isn't some minor change in the household routine. Mom is talking about moving into a tiny apartment miles away at her age when she has a perfectly good home here with family who love her. Love isn't the issue, Beth. I say quietly. It never has been. The issue is respect, autonomy, being seen as a person with my own needs and desires, not just as a convenient solution to your childcare and household management problems. Kevin clears his throat. Maybe we've all taken Grandma for granted a bit. That's something we can work on as a family. It's too late for that, Beth says bitterly. She's already made up her mind, apparently. Yes, I agree, I have, but that doesn't mean our relationship has to suffer. It just means it has to change. I'll still be your mother, Beth. I'll still be your children's grandmother. I'll just be those things from my own home on my own terms. The dinner continues in fits and starts of conversation, tension ebbing and flowing like a tide beneath the surface of emotions. I sense something else emerging, a glimmer of recognition in Beth's eyes when she looks at me, as if seeing me clearly for the first time in years, not just as her mother or her children's grandmother, but as Margaret Coleman, a woman with her own story still unfolding. After dinner, as the children clear the table, a routine I instituted but which will now need to continue without my oversight, Beth lingers in the kitchen. She watches me storing leftovers, her arms crossed over her chest, her expression unreadable. I don't understand why you're doing this, she says finally. I close the refrigerator door and turn to face my daughter. I know you don't, and that's part of the problem. She flinches slightly at my words, but doesn't leave. Progress of a sort. When your father died, I continue, I lost not just my husband, but my identity, my purpose. Moving in here, I became defined solely by what I could do for you and your family. That's not enough for me anymore. I need to remember who I am when I'm not being someone's mother or grandmother. And who is that? Beth asks, and for the first time, I hear genuine curiosity beneath the hurt. I smile, feeling the weight of the day settling into a quiet certainty. I'm not entirely sure yet, but I'm looking forward to finding out. 5 weeks pass in a strange limbo. The routine of the household continues. Breakfast's made, lunch is packed, dinner's prepared, but now with an awareness of the countdown ticking in the background. I still do most of what I've always done, but with a difference that everyone feels. These are my last weeks as the invisible infrastructure of this home. Beth cycles through stages of emotion like seasons: anger, hurt, calculated indifference, awkward attempts at appreciation, and back to simmering resentment. She leaves thank you notes beside my morning coffee, then criticizes my methods of folding laundry. The same afternoon, she brings home flowers on Friday, then forgets to invite me to Sophie's awards ceremony on Sunday. It's the erratic behavior of someone who doesn't know whether to repair a relationship or punish its fracturing. Kevin maintains his diplomatic distance, though I've caught him watching me with curious eyes, as if trying to solve a puzzle. He's taken to offering awkward compliments on my cooking, my gardening advice, my help with Lily's science project. Too little, too late, but I accept them with grace. Unlike Beth, he seems to be coming to terms with the inevitable. The children adapt in their own ways. Max has asked me to teach him how to make his favorite meals, standing beside me at the stove with unexpected patience as I explain the small secrets that make food taste better. Comfort and home. Lily is always the most sensitive to emotional currents. She creates elaborate drawings of Grandma's new house, filling the imagined space with flowers and sunshine, as if her artwork can ensure my happiness. Sophie helps me sort through my belongings on weekends, asking questions about family photographs and heirlooms, collecting stories like precious stones. The duplex renovation progresses steadily. I visit twice a week, watching as the contractor transforms the space according to my specifications. New hardwood floors replace the scratched originals, and fresh paint brightens the walls. A soft sage green in the main room, pale yellow in the kitchenette, and tranquil blue in the bathroom. The clawfoot tub has been refinished, gleaming white with new fixtures. A compact but efficient kitchenette takes shape in the alcove, with a two-burner stove, a small refrigerator, and custom shelving for maximum storage. Mrs. Martinez brings me tea during these visits, and we sit on the back porch watching the workers and discussing our eventual garden plans. Ms. Chun from Unit B joins us sometimes, bringing homemade almond cookies and practical suggestions about which plants will thrive in the small space. You'll need vertical planters for the herbs, she advises, and trellises for climbing vegetables. My grandmother grew enough food for her entire family on a balcony half this size in Shanghai. I find myself looking forward to these impromptu gatherings, these moments of connection with women who see me as a neighbor, a friend, not just someone's mother or grandmother. They know nothing of my life with Beth, nothing of the tension that hangs in the air at her house. They simply accept me as I am in the present moment. Today is Saturday, 3 days before my planned move. The apartment is ready, freshly painted and waiting. Sophie has helped me order a few essential furniture pieces: a comfortable bed, a small sofa, and a round table with 2 chairs. They will be delivered tomorrow. The rest I will acquire gradually, building my new home piece by piece with intention. Beth has maintained a strained silence about my preparations, as if not acknowledging them might somehow prevent them from happening. This morning, however, she stands in the doorway of my room, her guest room, watching as Sophie helps me pack the last of my clothes into suitcases. "So it's really happening," she says, her voice flat. I fold a sweater carefully before responding. "Yes, Beth, it's really happening. I thought maybe you'd change your mind, see how impractical this is." Sophie catches my eye, then excuses herself, slipping past her mother with a gentle touch on her arm. The door remains open, our conversation not quite private, not quite public. "I need boxes," I say, changing the subject, "for the things I'm taking with me." Beth crosses her arms. "What things?" "That apartment is tiny. You can't possibly fit much in there. Just my personal belongings. Clothes, books, the photo albums, my mother's china." "The china? Where will you even put it?" I continue folding clothes, each movement deliberate. "I'll find a place. It belongs with me." Beth sighs heavily. "I have some empty boxes in the garage from that office furniture delivery. I'll bring them up." When she leaves, I sit on the edge of the bed, suddenly tired. The work of dismantling a life, even a temporary one, is exhausting. Each item must be evaluated, decisions made. What to take, what to leave behind, what still serves me, what belongs to a past I'm ready to release. The door opens again, but it's not Beth returning with boxes. It's Kevin, looking uncomfortable. "Margaret, do you have a minute?" I gesture to the chair in the corner. He sits, perching on the edge like a visitor in a hospital room, unsure of the protocols. "Beth is upset," he begins. "I know she feels like you're punishing her for not appreciating you enough." I close the suitcase and zip it carefully. "This isn't about punishment, Kevin. It's about self-preservation." He leans forward, elbows on knees. "Look, I know things haven't been perfect. We've taken you for granted. I can admit that. But isn't there a way to fix this without such a drastic change? What if we converted the den into a proper suite for you? Private entrance, small kitchenette. You'd have your own space, but still be close." The offer surprises me. It's more consideration than I expected, especially from Kevin, who has always treated me with distant politeness. But it comes too late and misses the point entirely. "Thank you for the suggestion," I say, but my decision is made. I need more than a different room in the same house. I need to rebuild my identity apart from this family. "Because we've made you feel invisible?" "It's not a question." "Yes," he nods slowly. "I get that more than you might think." Something in his expression shifts, becomes more personal than I've ever seen from him. "My first wife left me, for similar reasons. She said she felt like a function, not a person. This confession startles me. In 10 years of knowing Kevin, he's never mentioned a previous marriage. I didn't know you were married before, Beth. Briefly, in my 20s. It ended badly. He stands, smoothing his golf shirt with nervous hands. What I'm trying to say is I understand the need to be seen, and I'm sorry I haven't done better with that. Before I can respond, Beth appears in the doorway, her arms full of flattened cardboard boxes. She looks between Kevin and me with suspicious eyes. What's going on? Just checking if Margaret needs help with anything heavy, Kevin says smoothly, stepping toward the door. Let me take those. He relieves Beth of the boxes and begins assembling them on the floor of the bedroom, folding the cardboard into three-dimensional space with efficient movements. Beth watches him with a frown, clearly sensing she's missed something. I can manage the packing, I tell them both. But thank you. Kevin nods and touches Beth's elbow, guiding her toward the door. She resists slightly, looking back at me with complex emotions playing across her face. For a moment, I think she might say something meaningful, something that bridges the gulf between us. Instead, she just says, "Dinner's at 6, and allows Kevin to lead her away. I spend the afternoon filling the boxes with the physical artifacts of my life. Clothing neatly folded, books stacked by size, photo albums arranged chronologically. Each item is a small piece of who I am, independent of my role in this family. As I work, I find things I'd forgotten I had: a small watercolor Sophie painted in elementary school, a clay handprint from Max's kindergarten year, a beaded bracelet Lily made at summer camp. I set these aside not to pack but to leave behind, small reminders of my presence after I'm gone. In the bottom drawer of the dresser, beneath winter scarves I rarely use in this climate, I find a small wooden box I haven't opened since moving in. Inside is Henry's pocket watch, the one his father gave him when he graduated from college. Beside it lies his wedding ring, which the hospital returned to me in a plastic bag after he died. I hold the ring in my palm, feeling its solid weight, the slight warmth it absorbs from my skin. I'm doing the right thing, I say aloud, as if Henry might hear me, might confirm my choice. The room remains silent, but I feel a certainty settle in my chest. This is the path forward. A soft knock at the door interrupts my thoughts. Sophie stands there, a mug of tea in her hands. "Thought you might need this," she says, stepping into the room. Whoa, it's really happening. The room does look different now. Boxes stacked by the door, dresser drawers standing open and empty, the walls bare where I've removed the few personal touches I'd added to the impersonal space. It really is. I agree, accepting the tea gratefully. Sophie sits cross-legged on the floor, helping me wrap my mother's china in newspaper before nestling the pieces carefully in a box. "Mom's making your favorite lasagna for dinner," she says. "I think it's supposed to be a peace offering." That's thoughtful of her. She's trying, Grandma in her way. I nod, acknowledging the effort without overpricing it. We work in companionable silence for a while, the only sound the soft rustle of newspaper and the occasional clink of china. Finally, Sophie speaks again. "I've been thinking about what you said about being seen as a person, not just for what you do for others. What about it?" She wraps a teacup carefully, her movements precise. "I think that's why I haven't moved into the dorms at college, why I'm still living at home." I wait, giving her space to continue. "Here I'm Sophie, who helps with her siblings, and Sophie, who gets good grades at school. I'd have to figure out who I am without all those labels." She looks up at me, her young face serious. "It's scary." "Yes, I agree, it is, but necessary. Like what you're doing now." "Like what I'm doing now." I confirm. She nods thoughtfully, then goes back to wrapping china. After a moment, she says, "Maybe I'll apply for the dorms next semester." I reach across the box between us and squeeze her hand. No advice, no pressure, just acknowledgement of her consideration. She squeezes back, a small smile playing at the corners of her mouth. By the time we go down to dinner, the room has been transformed. What was once Grandma's room is now clearly a transitional space filled with boxes waiting to be moved, emptiness waiting to be reclaimed by the household. I feel lighter, even as I recognize the weight my absence will create in this family system. The dinner table is tense despite Beth's lasagna peace offering. Max and Lily chatter nervously, filling the silence with school stories and complaints about teachers. Kevin makes bland observations about the weather forecast. Beth says little, pushing her food around her plate more than eating it. Sophie watches everyone with thoughtful eyes, occasionally catching my gaze with small smiles of encouragement. I eat the lasagna, which is indeed my recipe, taught to Beth years ago. It's good, not quite as I would make it. The basil a bit too sparse, the cheese not brown enough on top, but made with effort and intention. I compliment it sincerely, and Beth's face softens slightly. I found some of your recipe cards in the box by the cookbooks, she says. I tried to follow it exactly. It's delicious, I tell her. You've always had a good hand with Italian food. This small exchange, ordinary as it is, feels like the first genuine moment between us in weeks, not charged with resentment or calculation, just a mother and daughter discussing a meal. It's something to build on, perhaps. After dinner, I help clear the table out of habit, but Beth stops me with a light touch on my arm.
Leave it, she says.
You've done enough. I'm not sure if she means tonight, or over the past 3 years, or throughout her lifetime. Perhaps all of them. I nod and step back, allowing her and Kevin to handle the cleanup while I sit with the children in the living room, listening to their plans for the summer that's fast approaching. Later, in my half-empty room, I stand at the window, looking out at the manicured backyard. 3 days from now, my view will be different. The oak tree, the small garden plot, the wooden bench, my own space, modest but mine. The thought brings both anticipation and a twinge of sadness. Endings and beginnings so often intertwined. A soft knock at my door draws my attention. Beth stands there, looking uncertain, a flat package in her hands. I found this, she says, holding it out to me. When I was looking for the recipe cards, I thought you might want it for your new place. I accept the package and unwrap it carefully. Inside is a framed photograph I haven't seen in years. Beth and me on her college graduation day, both of us smiling broadly at the camera, my arm around her shoulders, her cap slightly askew. We look happy, connected, proud of each other. Thank you, I say, my throat suddenly tight. I'll put it somewhere special. Beth nods, then turns to go. At the doorway, she pauses. Good night, Mom, she says softly. Good night, Beth, I reply. It's not forgiveness, not yet. It's not understanding or acceptance, but it's acknowledgement, a small crack in the wall between us, a beginning perhaps of a new kind of relationship, one between two adult women who are learning to see each other clearly for the first time. I place the photograph on top of the nearest box, propping it so I can see our smiling faces as I prepare for bed. Tomorrow, Sophie will help me move the first load of boxes. The day after, the furniture will be delivered, and the day after that, I will leave this house not as a dependent or a helper, but as a woman reclaiming her own life. The empty boxes are now full, ready for the next chapter. Moving day arrives with the gentle warmth of early summer. I wake before dawn, a lifetime habit that serves me well. Today, the house is quiet. The family is still sleeping as I shower and dress with careful attention. Tan linen slacks, a light blue blouse with pearl buttons, comfortable shoes for the work ahead. I sweep my silver hair into a neat bun, apply a touch of lipstick, and fasten my locket around my neck. Today, I want to look like myself, whoever that might be. Now the kitchen is my domain for one last morning. I make coffee and prepare a simple breakfast casserole, the kind that can be left warming in the oven for family members to serve themselves as they wake, a parting gift of sorts. As I work, I think about the word eviction. It's been circling in my mind since yesterday, when Sophie helped me load the last of my packed boxes into her car. It's weird, she'd said. I feel like we're the ones being evicted, not you, like you're taking the heart of the house with you. Her words had startled me, making me realize the double meaning in my situation. Yes, I am leaving, evicting myself from a role that no longer fits, but in doing so, I am also serving notice to this family. Notice that they can no longer depend on my invisible labor. Notice that they must now see what has always been in front of them. The cost of convenience. Beth appears in the kitchen doorway, already dressed for the day in casual clothes rather than her usual work attire. The sight surprises me. "You're up early," I observe, sliding the casserole into the oven. "I took the day off," she says, pouring herself coffee. "I thought you might need help with the move." The offer catches me off guard. "That's thoughtful, thank you." She shrugs, avoiding my eyes. "It's the least I can do." We move around each other in the familiar dance of shared space, the kitchen suddenly feeling smaller than it has in years. Beth sets out plates and silverware without being asked, a small gesture that doesn't go unnoticed. "I've been thinking," she says finally, her back to me as she arranges napkins, "about what you said about being invisible." I wait, giving her space to continue. "I didn't see it how I treated you." She turns to face me, her expression unguarded in a way I haven't seen since she was a child. "I was so busy with my own life, my own problems. It was just convenient to have you here handling everything. I didn't stop to think about what that meant for you." "No, I agree," I say softly, "you didn't." "I'm sorry, Mom." The words hang between us, simple but profound. Not a manipulation to make me stay, not a performance of remorse to ease her conscience, but a genuine acknowledgement. It's not everything, but it's a beginning. "Thank you," I say. "That means a lot to me." She nods, blinking back unexpected tears, then busies herself with coffee. The moment passes, but something has shifted between us, a door cracked open that had been firmly closed. By 9 o'clock, the whole family is involved in the moving process. Kevin drives the rented van with my few pieces of furniture. Max and Lily carry smaller items, arguing good-naturedly about who gets to transport the most valuable things. Sophie and Beth handle the boxes of books and kitchen supplies. I supervise, directing traffic at both ends of the journey, feeling strangely detached from the physical process, even as I'm at its center. At the duplex, Mrs. Martinez and Ms. Chin emerge to help, introducing themselves to my family with warm smiles and offers of cold lemonade. I watch as Beth takes their measure, seeing the community I'm joining through her eyes. These women are roughly my age, yet they seem more vibrant, more engaged with life than I've been allowed to be. I wonder if Beth notices the difference. By noon, everything has been moved into the small apartment. The space is crowded with boxes and furniture waiting to be arranged, but already it feels like mine in a way Beth's guest room never did. Sunlight streams through the tall windows, catching dust motes dancing in the air. The newly refinished hardwood floors gleam with possibility. "It's cozy," Beth says, looking around with an expression I can't quite read, not dismissive, but not entirely approving either. "It's perfect," I counter, "just the right size for one person." Kevin nods appreciatively at the renovations. "They did good work here. The kitchenette turned out well." Max flops dramatically onto my new sofa. "Where will we all sit when we visit you, Grandma?" "This place is tiny. You'll visit one or two at a time," I tell him with a smile. Quality over quantity. Lily is already exploring the small back porch, peering at the garden space with interest. "Can I help you plant flowers? We could do a butterfly garden." "Absolutely. I promise we'll start next weekend." Sophie stands quietly in the corner, watching the family interaction with thoughtful eyes. When our gazes meet, she gives me a small nod of understanding. Of all of them, she truly sees what this move means to me. Mrs. Martinez appears at the door with a casserole dish, a housewarming gift, she announces. "Enchiladas for tonight. You won't feel like cooking after all this unpacking." Ms. Chin follows with a small potted plant, lucky bamboo for new beginnings. I accept both gifts with genuine gratitude, introducing them properly to my family. Beth makes an effort at friendly conversation, though I can sense her discomfort. These women know a version of me she's never seen, a version that exists independently. Narrative after lunch, which we eat picnic-style on the floor of the apartment. Kevin checks his watch. "We should probably head out, let your mom settle in." Beth looks reluctant but nods. The kids help carry the trash from lunch to the car. As Max and Lily gather the paper plates and napkins, Beth turns to me. "Are you sure you'll be all right here by yourself?" "I'm sure," I tell her, my voice steady. "This is what I want, Beth." She nods, then surprises me by pulling a small gift bag from her purse. "This is for you, a housewarming present." It's not much, but inside the bag I find a framed copy of my Mother's Day card to her, the one she hadn't read until after our confrontation. My handwritten memories of her childhood, my expressions of pride in the woman she's become, preserved behind glass so I never forget again, she says quietly. The gesture touches me deeply, not because it erases the years of invisibility or guarantees change, but because it acknowledges the truth of my experience. It says, "I hear you now." "Thank you," I say simply. The family's departure is a flurry of hugs and promises to call, to visit, to help with anything I need. Sophie is the last to leave, lingering to help me unpack my books and arrange them on the shelves Kevin assembled earlier. "Will you be okay?" she asks as we work. "Really okay?" I consider the question seriously. "I think I'll be more than okay. I think I'll be myself again." She smiles, satisfied with the answer. "Good, because I've been thinking about what you said about identity and independence." She shelves another book before continuing. "I applied for the dorms for fall semester and an internship at the botanical gardens for the summer." Pride swells in my chest. "Sophie, that's wonderful. I figure if my 68-year-old grandmother can start over, I can certainly branch out at 19. She grins, then grows serious. "You inspired me, Grandma, to not just be what other people need me to be." After she leaves, I stand in the center of my new home, surrounded by half-unpacked boxes and misplaced furniture. The space is chaotic but full of potential. Through the windows, I can see the oak tree in the backyard, the wooden bench beneath it waiting for summer evenings with a book and a glass of wine on the small porch. Ms. Chen's lucky bamboo catches the afternoon light. I begin the work of unpacking each item, finding its place in my new life. My mother's china goes into the small cabinet beside the kitchenette. Henry's books line the shelves Sophie helped arrange. The photograph of Beth and me at her graduation sits on the bedside table where I'll see it each morning and night, a reminder of connection, not obligation. As evening approaches, I heat Mrs. Martinez's enchiladas and set my small table for one, the first meal in my new home. I eat slowly, savoring both the food and the silence, not the tense silence of Beth's house these past weeks, but a peaceful quiet that belongs to me alone. After dinner, I wash my single plate and glass, dry them carefully, and put them away. Such a simple task, yet now invested with new meaning. Everything I do in this space is for myself, by choice rather than expectation. The evening stretches before me, unstructured and undemanded. No lunches to prepare for tomorrow, no laundry to fold, no schedule to maintain but my own. The freedom is dizzying, almost uncomfortable in its newness. What does one do with time that belongs solely to oneself? I decide to start with a bath in the refinished clawfoot tub. I fill it with hot water and a capful of lavender bath oil, a small luxury I'd forgotten I enjoyed. As I soak, I think about the day, about Beth's apology, about Sophie's decision to move into the dorms, small victories, significant shifts. Later, dressed in my favorite pajamas, I sit on the small sofa with a cup of tea and look around at my new kingdom. It's modest by any standard, one main room, a bathroom, a kitchenette, a cove barely larger than Beth's master bathroom. In fact, but it's mine. Every square inch belongs to me, answers to my preferences, exists for my comfort. On the small desk in the corner sits my notebook, open to a fresh page. I pick up a pen and begin to write, not a list this time, but a letter to myself, a reminder of this day, this feeling, this new beginning. A promise to never again allow myself to become invisible, to never again confuse usefulness with value. When I finish writing, I close the notebook and place it in the drawer of the desk. Then I move to the window and look out at the night sky. The same stars shine over this small apartment as over Beth's large house. The same moon illuminates both our lives. We remain connected, my daughter and I, but now on more equal footing, both of us adults with our own spaces, our own choices, our own consequences. The term eviction notice comes to mind again, but now with a different meaning. I haven't just evicted myself from a role that diminished me. I've evicted an old version of myself, the one who accepted invisibility, who confused sacrifice with love, who permitted her own erasure. That woman no longer has residence in my heart or mind. In her place stands someone new yet familiar, a woman I'm just beginning to recognize after years of absence. Margaret Coleman, 68 years old, finally home. If my story of finding strength and reclaiming my identity resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to see more content about family dynamics, setting boundaries, and finding yourself later in life. Share your own experiences in the comments below. Have you ever had to make a difficult choice to prioritize your own well-being? Your story matters and might help someone else find their courage. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload.